Today, we are going to hem a pair of pants and we are going to do it by hand. That's right, I'm going to be hand sewing a blind hem onto the bottom of these pants. So grab your needle and your thread and let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is figure out how much are we hemming these pants. So I'm gonna try them on and let's figure it out. So my pants are too long. You can see breaks in them, which means you can see these lines or creases in the pants. And I really want the pants to hang straight. So I need to figure out how much I'm going to take them in. So if you're doing this on yourself, I suggest bending down. I'm gonna start with 1 inch. So I'm gonna pin up 1 inch. And then I'm going to see how that hangs and how that lays. Is that enough for me? It looks like I still need to take it in a little bit more. So I'm going to bend down and I will fold that up 2 inches now, put a pin in it, and now we're gonna see, how does that hang? And you know what? I think that's hanging way better. So it looks like I need to hem my pants 2 inches. And you can hem it at any length. Maybe you need to take off a 1/2 inch. Maybe you need 4 inches. You can hem these at any length you want. Now, after you take off the pants, you want to measure how much fabric you want to take up on the pants. So I'm measuring here, and it's actually 2.5 inches, not 2 inches. So I want these pants to get 2.5 inches shorter. But we don't want to just cut off 2.5 inches because then we'll have no fabric to fold and turn up to the inside. Because when we hem these, we're going to be pushing the fabric up into the inside of the pant. Now, I don't really want to keep 2.5 inches in the inside of the pant. That is a lot of fabric to keep in there. I want to keep about 1.5 inches. So if I want to keep 1.5 inches of the pant, that means I can cut off the bottom inch. So I'm going to chalk that out. What I'm going to chalk out is the amount of fabric that I'm keeping from the edge of the pant here that I flipped up. So I'm going to be chalking out 1.5 inches, and then I know I can get rid of the rest of the fabric. So I'm gonna line that up. So I've got 1.5 inches lined up with the top of the pants there. And now I know this is the amount that I need to get rid of. So now we're gonna turn the pants inside out. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for watching today. These videos are for you guys. And if you'd like to learn more about sewing, make sure you check out my online sewing classes. We're working on a whole new series for fall. So the links are down below for those. Now let's get back to hemming these pants. So before we start cutting anything, we need to release the hem of the pants. So this one has already been hemmed up here by hand actually. So we need to release this. So you're gonna take a seam ripper and you are just going to open up any stitches that you have holding the pant down. And you can see it's opening up now. So I'm just gonna work my way all the way around the bottom of this pant. So that way I can flatten it out. Any pant you find is going to have a hem. It might be machine sewn down, it might be hand sewn down. They're all different. So just release that. And now I can open up the bottom. So it looks like these were actually already hemmed before. You can see that. That's the original hem and someone had hand hemmed these out. I thrifted these so I didn't know what was on the inside. But now my cutting line is gone. It's not on the inside anymore. So I'm gonna flip the pants right side out. And now you can see this is our cutting line on the outside. That's that 1 inch that we're going to cut off. Now when I cut through this, I don't want my layers to move, so I'm gonna pin them together. So line up the bottoms and just pin those layers together. And now I'm going to follow my chalk line and I'm going to cut through both layers of the pants. So I'm also going to follow the plaid line on the pants because I've got a plaid. So if you got a plaid, you can follow the plaid line. Here we go. And now we are ready to start hemming. Now that our pants are cut, we need to do a little ironing. So we're going to flip the pants inside out, and then we're gonna iron it up 1/2, and then we're gonna iron it up 1 inch. Let me go show you how. If you have a sleeve board, this is really going to help you. If you don't have one, highly suggest getting one. I'll put a link down below in the description for them. Now what we wanna do is put our pant leg on here. This is going to allow us to work around the whole pant leg really easy. So now that we have the pant leg here, we can just keep turning it around in a circle. So first what we need to do is iron it up 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna flip it up roughly 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to be using my seam gauge here. So I have the seam gauge moved right to 1/2 inch. So that way I know exactly how far to fold my fabric. So the edge of it is going to go with the raw edge of the fabric, and the little blue spot I have at 1/2 inch is going to be at the bottom fold of the fabric. Now that I have it at 1/2 inch, I can go ahead and steam it. And I'm going to work my way all the way around the pants. Looks like there's a hole in them from someone else that wore them. Pretty sure it's going to be folded up in our hem allowance there, so I'm going to leave that, but highly recommend patching any holes that you find. Okay, so now that we have a 1/2 inch ironed up all the way around, we are going to be folding it up 1 inch. So now move your seam gauge to 1 inch. Go ahead and line up the blue spot with the fold of the fabric and the other end of the seam gauge with the other fold. Now this time while I iron, I'm going to pin it down. So I'm going to put some pins in here as I iron. Seaming your creases really helps this stay in place while you're hand sewing. So definitely don't skip on ironing down the folds of your hem. And now that we have it all ironed and pinned, we can take it off the sleeve board. Now that we have our pant leg prepped, it's time to do some hand sewing. And I'm going to be using this bright thread so it's real easy for you to see, but you should always use a matching thread. For prepping your needle, I suggest about 2 feet of thread. Anything more is going to get tangled up while you're sewing. So we are going to thread the eye of the needle with 1 thread. And now we're going to pull those thread tails so that way they line up. So make sure your 2 thread tails are lined up. And now we're going to take the tip of the needle and point it towards the thread tails. And we're going to put the thread tails under my finger back here. So we're going to hide them basically. And then we're going to wrap the thread around the needle about 4 or 5 times. Pull that under those 2 fingers, hold that bunch of thread, and then pull the needle. Keep holding that bunch of thread, and when you release, you're going to have a beautiful knot. Threading a needle and tying a knot like that is my favorite way ever. I highly suggest you give it a try if it's new to you, and it can take you a few tries to get it down, but once you do, you're going to be able to do it like that. And any of that extra thread beyond the knot, you can just cut that off. We don't need that, and your knot's not going to fall apart. So now that we have our needle threaded, it is time to do some hand sewing. I find that the easiest way to do this is now take your hem and fold it to the inside. So that way you have 2 folds here. One's your hem and one's the inside of your pants. Now what I'm gonna do is take the needle and I'm gonna put it in the fold of the hem. And I'm gonna come out about a 1/2 inch down. And I'm gonna fully pull my needle. So you can see there's my knots on the inside of the fold, and now we've got a thread. So now this side here is the pant, and we need to take just 1 little fiber of the thread if you want this to be blind. So I've got a little bit of the weave there. I can go ahead and pull that. Now what I'm going to do is go back over to the fold of the hem about a 1/2 inch down, and then I got my needle in there, and then I'm gonna come out a 1/2 inch later. So you can kind of see this motion that we're going to be creating here. And now I'm going to go in again, a 1/2 inch down, taking a few fibers of the pant. So it's real important you're just taking a couple. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to see it on the outside. Now you're going to notice at the end, even though I'm using a neon thread, you are not going to see this on the outside of the pants. It's pretty cool. So again, we're on the fold here of the bottom of the pants, and now I'm gonna come over a 1/2 inch on the actual pant leg, take a few fibers, and then we're just working our way back and forth. And when I'm up here at the fold of the hem, I'm going through that crease a 1/2 inch. So the thread is in here under that crease. And don't pull too tight. This is a fairly loose stitch. If you pull too tight, it's gonna scrunch up your pants, and we don't want that. So just a few fibers on the actual pant, again, going into the crease of the pant, and we're just going to work our way back and forth, back and forth. Just keep turning your pants. When the pins get in your way, remove them. I'm getting low on thread, so I want to knot off before I get too low. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of the fabric, and before I fully pull, I'm going to take the needle and go through the loop of the thread. This is going to create a knot. I always like to do it twice just to make sure it's not going to fall apart. And then you can go ahead and cut the extra off and just create another needle and thread, and then I'll show you how to start. So now I have another needle and thread started, and I'm just going to start again in the same spot where I left off, putting my needle in there, my knot catches it, and now back to the races here. Here we go. So we're just going to continue. And we're coming up to the end where we began. So I'll show you what to do there for finishing it. Okay, so we're back where we began. Now we want to knot off. When we knot off, we want to knot off in the hem, not the actual pant leg. So I'm on the fold of the hem, and I'm going to pull just like we did before. So we have a loop, small loop. Take the needle, stick it through it, and pull. That's creating a knot. Now I want to create one more knot. This works best if you get this loop small so it doesn't get tangled up when you pull. And now we can cut our extra thread off. Now that you know how to hem your pant leg, go ahead and do the same thing to the other one, and then your pants are going to be done. Now that it's all hand sewn, we're going to flip out our hem. So now you can see that our stitches are right on the edge there of the crease and the pant leg. And now when we flip it right side out, you are not going to see any of this neon thread. Now let's take a look at the blind hem on the outside of the pants, but really there's not going to be anything to see if you did it properly. You should not see any of that neon stitching on the outside of the pants. So let's take a look. So as you can see, there's no neon thread on the outside of these pants here. If we flip it up to the inside, you can see that's where all the neon thread is, catching this pant leg, but because we just caught a small little fiber of the fabric, we don't see any of the stitching on the outside. It's a little sewing magic. And here's our new hemmed pants. No more breaks in the pants. They're nice and straight and even, and no pink stitches. Check that out. Now I have them at the perfect length, and I did everything with my hand sewing needle. And that is one way you can create a blind hem. It's my go-to method for creating blind hems. Now there's other ways out there, but this one, I think it's the best. Thanks so much for watching Sewing Anastasia today on how to blind hem pants by hand. If you have any questions about it, leave it down below in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video today, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for watching today. And don't forget to follow me on socials, that way we can stay connected and creative together. Definitely check out the Instagram stories because I'm always posting behind the scenes action in classes and in the studio. And if you're interested in improving your sewing skills, make sure you come on into the design studio and take some sewing classes with me in person. Or if you're not in Chicago, you can also take classes online. Links for both of those are down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching today. Bye!